Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammad Shtayyeh wants the world to know he's satisfied so far with what he's hearing from Washington.
Our relationship with the new American administration has been going very well based on the promises that were made by the Biden administration. We think that this administration is a real departure from where we were with President Trump. It's our hope that the promises will be fulfilled.
Shtayyeh says those specific promises include restoring funding to UNRWA, maintaining the status quo agreement on the Temple Mount where only Muslims are allowed to pray, opposing Israeli construction in Judea and Samaria, what's also referred to as the West Bank. The State Department told CBN News in a statement the U.S. does support the status quo agreement on the Temple Mount, opposes unilateral steps that undercut negotiations like settlement construction in the West Bank, and is currently providing $450 million to the Palestinian Authority, some of which is pledged to UNRWA. Perhaps the biggest public nod from the Biden administration came early this year, when Secretary of State Antony Blinken indicated the U.S. would reopen its consulate to the Palestinian Authority in Jerusalem.
That's an important way for our country to engage with and provide support to the Palestinian people.
That promise met stiff resistance from Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett.
Our position is, and it was presented very clearly and openly to our American friends, that there's no room for another American consulate in Jerusalem.
Foreign Minister Yair Lapid suggested the PA use Ramallah as an alternate location. Prime Minister Shtayyeh made it clear that the Palestinian Authority doesn't want the U.S. consulate here in Ramallah, but only in Jerusalem.
Ramallah is not Jerusalem, and Ramallah is not the capital of Palestine. We want this consulate in Jerusalem to be the future American embassy to the state of Palestine. And I think that Biden administration has been very clear about it. And they did speak loudly about it. And it's our hope that what they promised, it will be fulfilled. And we have been assured by congressmen, by other officials, that this will be on their agenda.
This conversation brings into question a divided Jerusalem, which Palestinians want as part of a so-called two-state solution. Israeli leaders maintain the city is their capital and will remain unified. Former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Danny Ayalon says reopening the U.S. consulate to the Palestinians would jeopardize relations with Israel and endanger the Jewish state's fragile new government.
I think that could really wreak havoc within this government. There's no way politically that Bennett could agree to that. The opposition, which is still headed by Bibi Netanyahu, would have a heyday, and that could spark a large demonstrations. The anger and the frustration will not be channeled at the United States, but to the Israeli government.
Ayalon says the consulate dilemma puts the U.S. in an untenable situation, with promises to the PA on the one hand and violating Israeli sovereignty on the other. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Ramallah.